Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming podcast. Today is the 30th of July 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be one of your hosts for this evening. The second host is Tygergamer. Hey Tiger, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How about you?
I'm doing really hot. It's fucking hot here. It's like... I live in a place that's called the rainiest place in our country, and it's always like considered cold, etc., etc. It's been like 40 degrees Celsius in the sun here today. Let me. You probably don't know how much that is, right? That's
no, not really.
That's 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Dang.
It's hot here. Europe is suffering. Send help, send water, send shade, please. Now, seriously, the weather here, have you seen the satellite pictures? Like what it's doing to the farmlands?
No, I have not.
Dude, search those up. Like, there are pictures of like the summer, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. You know, everything looks green, fine, just what do you expect? And this year, like, half of the stuff is brown or yellowish, just burnt. There have literally been found, like, ancient villages found because of the seriousness of this year's heat wave.
Dang. Well, hey, the summers get hotter every year and the winters get colder every year.
Yeah, I disagree with that. The winters aren't getting colder. I remember so much more snow when I was young. I remember, at the very least, 6 meters of snow.
Wow.
But that, I also used to live like really high up in the mountains when that happened. I remember the first floor being like fully under snow, but the house was built in mind with that happening, so there was an additional door on their second floor.
Oh, wow.
I actually remember it getting used. It's one of my earliest memories.
Dang.
But it was awesome. My childhood was really fun. Except that nobody lived around. But we're not here to talk about weather. If you want to go watch that, go watch the Weather Channel. We're here to talk about video games. So,
yes.
Let's do that. Tell me, Tiger, what are some games you got to play this week?
Well, mainly I played the newest update to No Man's Sky.
You know, I've heard very good things of it so far.
Yes. Oh man.
So what is your opinion of it right now?
So far, I'm really enjoying it. I will say this though: if you're like me and you're a returning player, and you've yet returned back to No Man's Sky, be warned. They have changed up what you need, what elements you need to craft to make whatever. So they changed up the entire periodic table of the game, and you have to relearn the entire game again.
You know what? I think that may actually be a good thing in No Man's Sky case. Yes,
I agree.
So, what are some stuff they changed that you think is better than in the original iteration?
Well, first off, the visuals on the planets, they have a lot more detail in what the planets look like. So now there's like more lush and green Earth-like planets, along with all these hazardous planets as well.
Okay, so there's more to explore.
Yes, but also they've also revamped the weather system as well. And my opinion on this is the weather in some planets is very, very random. Like, one point it will say warning, storm coming. The next second, let's say storm is clearing, and then sometimes the storm will like go on for like 6 minutes at a time. And if you don't have the right equipment, you have to go and take shelter. Otherwise, you'll get decimated by the storm.
Okay, so you think that's a good or a bad thing? Because
actually, I think it's a really good thing because it gives you another thing to worry about while you're trying to make your way through the universe.
Okay, cool. Anything else you think is a good change for the game?
Oh yeah. Also, I've also added like the space visuals as well. They've overhauled that as well, to where now plants actually have rings around them. Some plants do.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. And one of the cool things is it's not just a texture of just a planetary ring. You can actually fly through, and it's like a cloud with asteroids in it.
Okay. So, that does sound cool.
And then also, they've also changed space stations as well, to where now, like before, like back when the game launched, you just had the ships where they docked. And you had 2 doors, one going to the left and one going to the right. Now, those doors are gone, to where it's like an open platform of different merchants and NPCs.
Oh, okay.
So you can get missions, trade, and all that with different NPCs on each space station. And not to mention, they also not all systems now have a space station, so you got to be wary of what systems you go to. Otherwise, because you have to rely on the space station sometimes to actually get some resources that you might not be able to find on a planet. So you might get stranded in a system for a while.
Okay, so generally it's all good news.
Yeah, they've added a lot of different stuff to this new game.
Yeah,
and I have yet to touch on multiplayer yet.
Well, then tell us about multiplayer.
And that right there just makes the game a lot more, even more enjoyable. Even though me personally, I mainly play as a lone wolf. It's kind of fun to actually like meet up with different people, even when you're not joining up with other people in a random game. You actually have people come up and show up in your game and join you on your journey.
Can you like interact with them in any meaningful way?
Well, you can transfer resources between each other's inventories. And of course, you can also shoot and kill other players as well, so there is a little bit of griefing in there.
Have you tried any combat yet? Because I wonder how the combat feels.
Okay. Now, I've not attacked any of the players, but I will say this: the space combat, they've added like since you're able to play online now, they've added like a first and third person camera, to where now you can like customize your character the way you want them to look. And also you can also go in the third person on while you're flying your ship. And I found that space combat in third person is actually a lot easier than doing space combat in first person. So,
what a surprise, I'd say. It's the same for like driving games. They're so much more easier in like rear behind the car camera, because you get a bit more view of the environment around you. You know, like you know where the back of your car is, and the same thing, at least for me, applied to space simulators. I remember playing Everspace for actually quite some time. I was pretty surprised. It was like a roguelite space flyer, and I always preferred the third view camera there. Actually, I think I'd call Everspace like a No Man's Sky light to a degree. Because it didn't have planetary exploration when it came to the space stuff. It actually did it better, in my opinion. So, would you give No Man's Sky the next recommendation?
If you if you're someone that saw No Man's Sky and it didn't interest you in the slightest,
Mm-hmm.
this may not get you into No Man's Sky. But if you're waiting for the multiplayer,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, go and get this game and try. I will warn you though, right now there are still some rough edges,
Mm-hmm.
as with any update. Like for example, just this morning I was playing, and I was like on a freighter, and actually, I guess it warped out of the system and actually fell right through the floor and into the endless void of space.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I've almost got one more feature too. You can also use your freighters to actually command your own fleet to
Oh.
go on various missions. So there's that too.
So you get a bit of strategy game mixed in there.
A little, but you don't actually control what they actually do on those missions. They actually go and do it autonomously. So.
I would add one thing that should be taken into consideration is the fact the game is right now on a 50% sale, at least on PC.
I was about to mention that too. It's also on a 50% sale on a PS4 as well. So.
Yeah. So that thing I think makes it like much more of a better deal, even if you don't enjoy the shit out of it. For $27.49, it's okay. Probably.
Yeah. And on PS4, I don't know about PC, but on PS4 you actually have until August 7th to take advantage of the deal. So
Steam
if you're
says
still iffy on it,
Steam says its offer ends 6th August, so it's probably until like midnight.
Okay. But yeah, if the game didn't interest you at all the first time around, it might not interest you this time. But if you do have a slight interest in No Man's Sky, go and give this game a try. Especially now, since you get the base game, the Foundation update, the Pathfinders update, the Outlast Rises update, and now next. That's a pretty good deal, especially at half price right now. So.
Yeah, this is really the game that was like, don't buy it at launch, wait a year, and then it will be good.
I've been sticking with it since launch, so.
Oh, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Well, I myself this week ventured into the land of indie puzzle platformers with a game called Semblance. You might remember it. I talked about it last week during gaming recommendations because I loved the aesthetic. And you know what? I'm glad I picked it up. It's a really cool puzzle platformer. It has a pretty interesting feature where you actually are able to deform the platforms, and that's the key to solving the puzzles.
Okay.
Obviously, they start pretty easy, but they get more and more complex as you progress through the game. It doesn't have that many mechanics. It mostly relies just on the deformable terrain. Otherwise, the only other mechanic I've really seen used is like a zone where you cannot use your ability to deform the terrain. So you have to like figure out, what can I do to get around this?
Okay.
But yeah, it's a really cool game. It's available even on the Switch, where I think it's a great choice actually on the Switch.
Oh, I'm about to give that a look.
Yeah, I suggest you do. I'm gonna make a big review on it sometime this week. Probably tomorrow. I think I'm gonna release it. I have it mostly written down. So if you guys want to know more, be sure to check that out. Right now it's available for $8.99. The normal price is $9.99. I think that's worth it. For the graphics, it looks freaking amazing. And I don't know how much it is on the Switch, to be honest, but I'm going to assume it's a similar price. Let me quickly check that. Semblance for Nintendo Switch. Is there a price somewhere here? Oh, yeah, it's $8.99. So, or eligible, and you will get 45 points for buying it. So, yeah, be sure to check that out. It's a really cool puzzle platformers, and if you're into those at all, though, if you're into puzzle platformers for the platforming, then Semblance not be that much your thing. It's more of the puzzle kind than the platforming kind. It's not about making a super precise jump. It's more about figuring the solution to even be able to make that jump in the first place.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else you played this week?
Yeah, also, even though I didn't play as much as I did No Man's Sky, I also got to play a little bit of the Mega Man X Collection 1.
Oh, wow. I think we talked about that one last week as well during the recommendations, right?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So, how is it?
So far, I'm really enjoying it. Of course, it's just like, if you're familiar with the Mega Man games, they're somewhat challenging. So, and that comes with any retro game. But yeah, pretty much the Legacy Collection comes with all the first 4 Mega Man X games, 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
And you can either choose to play them in their original form with the small screen and the pixelated graphics, or you can play in full screen with different filters to make it look more modernized. So, yeah.
Can you give me like some example of how it looks more modernized?
For one thing, instead of there being like pixels, it's more like looks more like a shell shaded type thing.
Okay, that seems interesting, but not that like useful, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I've been playing it in the retro style, so I just took a quick look at it, at the filters. That's it.
Okay, and would you give it a recommendation?
Yeah, if you never played any of the X games, or if you grew up playing Mega Man X, you want to go back and re-experience them, yeah, go and give these games a try. So on all systems. So, and I'll mention the first Legacy Collection is $20, along with the second collection, which is also $20, but you can get both of them for like $40. So
that's a decent price, I would say.
Yeah. 4 games, yeah. Most definitely is.
Okay, I haven't really played anything else this week. Have you?
Nope.
Sadly, I didn't get to play much this week because we were launching the Chibera official website this week.
Okay.
So we had some work to be done there. Man, I'm so super excited about this project. We're really getting into it. Like, the prototype is getting ready. It should be ready, like, within, I don't know, 2 weeks, I say.
Okay.
Hopefully that, so, I don't want to promise something that might not be, like, 2 weeks exactly. You know how development stuff goes. There's sometimes, weird hurdles. That's why we don't want to promise stuff exactly. But, yeah, our developers are working hard. We have like super great ideas. We started working on the lore a little bit, but even like before we hire writers, because we want to come to them with like an idea. So far, what we come up with is the base idea, and I will actually pride myself. I was the one who came up with the base idea.
Okay.
the very base of the lore is this will be a world that has been torn apart by an explosion by like a mad scientist or whatever, you know, that's to be figured out. And the explosion, it was like a half magical explosion, and the magic is just leaking out of that explosion still. And everybody's trying to get that magic because everybody uses it as a power source one way or another. Either, you know, like they use it like purely just for spell casting, or we're thinking like maybe we're going to have a technological race that just uses it as fuel.
Okay.
And, you know, when the explosion happened, it just torn the world apart. So there's like islands, and you fight over the islands. And the closer the island is to the core of the explosion, the more mana it earns to your faction.
Huh.
So that will be the, like, what you fight for in the game. You just fight for mana, or whatever we're going to call it. Obviously, these are mostly placeholder, like, names.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, just getting this mana will be one thing, but you will also want to own land, because if you don't own land, you cannot build there or anything. And if you want to, like, you know, you can transform the mana into, like, weapons that you can sell. But to make them, you first need to build a blacksmith. And what do you need for a blacksmith? Land. And you can either win it through battling, or you can buy it from somebody who won it from battling, or you can rent it. And that's all stuff that's going to be done through cryptocurrencies. So far we're thinking mostly Steam, maybe a dash of EOS added in.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all stuff that's gonna be there. For your regular PvE guide, it's gonna be like halfway your typical MMO and a dungeon crawler. So you were going to be going into dungeons where on the end there's like a huge mana leak that you want to collect, bring back home, get some funds, also gather some gear in the process. Yeah. Again, super excited for this. Hoping you're gonna have a computer once we get released, but we are also planning to release on consoles if we are capable of getting them to be okay with having blockchain technology included.
Yeah. Me personally, I cannot wait to see what comes this project, because I've actually been thinking about this for a while. Is what would a game like this be like? So I can't wait to see what comes of it. So
yeah, and hopefully and definitely it's gonna be awesome. We're working so we're gonna do everything in Unreal Engine 4. So graphically it should be up to date. We actually want to do up to 8K resolution, like for future proofing.
Dang.
But yeah, most people's computers will not be able to handle 8K. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, every time I get some news, I'm gonna tell you guys about it for sure. About it. I said about it a lot, I know.
But also make sure you're clear with the people that you're working with. If it's okay if you announce it here. You know.
Oh, it's not announcements. It's just, you know.
I know, but like when you have the news, when we have news about the game. Make sure you know, of course, take it by the people that you're working for.
Well, it is my job to announce these things, so it's
I know.
Sort of my leisure where I do it.
Okay.
Well, either way, let's get into this week's gaming news. What do you say?
Yes, let's do that.
So, a study came out saying that pro gamers may pretty soon be earning more than professional athletes. So we have heard about some pro gamers earning some really nice money. For example, we know that Ninja is earning about $500,000 a month just from
Yep.
streaming Fortnite. Uh, but we also know that it's not only about the big numbers for individual streamers. We also know that many people love to watch esports. For example, in 2016, the League of Legends tournament drew 36 million viewers to it. That's actually 5
Dang.
million more than the NBA finals for that year. It's just
Hmm.
it's just insane. And another big part of this is the fact that advertisers just love esports. Uh,
Mhm.
it's it makes it super easy for them to target demographics because let's face it, it's mostly young people who play and watch esports. This is going to change
Mhm.
obviously in the future slightly as more older people, as our generation just gets older, but we will still be playing video games. But still, it will be fairly easy for them to get really precise demographics. But the thing here is, I think, the biggest one, they can target it because the sites that stream these games have all the information about you. So if they only want to target, I know, 12-year-old girls with advertisements for beauty creams, I don't know, they can do that even though they're watching esports. If they want to target 45-year-old men with advertisers for Viagra, again, they can do that precisely.
Hmm.
So yeah, esports viewership, I think is gonna be a thing. But the thing I want to
Oh yeah.
talk about a bit here is, do you think there will be a point where traditional sports move away from TV?
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Uh. Now I don't see it moving away just yet, but it will come.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will happen not like within 5 years, not even within a decade, but within a few decades. I think TV will just die.
Actually, now in terms of just TV in general,
Mm.
I don't think it'll die out. I think it'll evolve and like just like right now there are like some services out there that allow you to watch TV channels on while streaming on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have like a certain show that you like to watch, you can like put it in your favorite list, and it'll automatically record the newest episodes. Along with if you miss an episode but you forgot to record it, you actually have like a 3 day period to watch it
Oh,
before
I
you know.
didn't mean like TV series will go away and movies will go away. I just meant like
Yeah,
the fact that
yeah,
it's
I know.
broadcast through an antenna and you have a receiver.
Yeah.
It will just all
Now,
be done through the internet. That's what
yeah.
I meant.
Now, yeah. For that, actually, I can see that going away in the next decade.
I would say more like 20 years realistically. The interesting thing here, I think, is radio will stick with us even after
Oh
this. Like, I think radio will be longer lived than the internet itself in the current state.
oh yeah, most definitely.
Just because radio has such ease of use,
Mhm.
and even though you can like argue, but you can just listen to the radio through the internet. The thing is, the radio works so power efficiently that, let's say you're in a blackout and you need to
Mhm.
hear the news, like when is the hurricane coming?
Mhm.
You just have in your cell phone, you have this tiny, teeny antenna that draws close to zero energy, but you can still get radio signal of it, and that's where the place of radio is, to like be there as the backup system for public service announcements.
I agree with that, most definitely.
But TV, I think, like in its current format, it's slowly dying, and it's kicking and screaming, but dying.
Yeah, the networks are trying to keep people interested in TV, so.
Good luck with that, guys. Good luck, but I doubt you'll succeed.
Yeah, really. I barely even watch TV anymore.
Oh, I don't watch it at all. Like, literally, I do technically, like, have a TV, but it's used just as a bigger monitor that's right in front of my bed. So I can, like, watch movies with my girlfriend when we just want to cuddle. And, you know, obviously I could do that with my PC. Just have another monitor with a long HDMI cable. The thing is, that means putting up a long cable in my apartment, and I hate cables.
Yeah.
I have already too many of them. Well, that's it pretty much for this piece of news. Let's move on to the next one. This one is big. So, Denuvo, the controversial anti-piracy software, has brought legal action against Voxkey, one of the founders of Revolt, which is an anti-Denuvo thing, I would say, in most part, but also a cracking team who crack games. And he has been arrested a few days ago. His computers and servers were all confiscated. The thing is, I'm still not sure whose side I'm on. It's just, for me, it seems fairly obvious that, yes, he probably did illegal stuff by tampering with their software. Let's be honest about that. That was probably not completely legal. On the other hand, I really don't like Denuvo.
Yeah, or DRM in general.
Yeah, but Denuvo in particular. Their software, and I know this is allegedly, been causing so many performance problems for so many games. And it's not even like there was a time where if your game had Denuvo software, it was essentially uncrackable. Nowadays, that's just not the case anymore. So, what's your opinion on this?
I would say, now me being a console gamer, really, I have problems with, like, with DRM and all that. So, I don't have a PC and all that. But I will say, though, yes, what he was doing, tampering with their software, is illegal. But also, on the other side, Denuvo, I mean, honestly, you're just making money off of game companies using your software that you tout as being uncrackable, but now it is crackable, and pretty much your software is just obsolete at this point. And
I would actually argue that it isn't, because it usually takes like at least a week for a game with Denuvo to be cracked. There have been few cases, especially for like big games, for example, Shadow of Mordor last year. But even there, it took a day, and the first days of sales are the most important. But on the other,
but yeah, though, also, I mean, she also want to point out like people that, like companies that sell DRM,
Mm-hmm.
those companies go bankrupt or whatever, or go out of business, and certain games still require that DRM, like what happened with
Oh
Metal
yeah,
Gear Rising Revengeance, where that game used like a certain DRM, where the
yeah.
company has went out of business, and pretty much that game is unplayable with that DRM software on there. So
So that
they,
sucks. Yeah.
yeah,
But
there's like a thin layer of ice between this.
so the thing is, I've actually talked with like a few game developers, especially from the indie scene, who said we don't really want anti-piracy software in our games. I know this is probably a bit different for like big ass AAA games, but for smaller games, even piracy is a form of marketing.
Yeah.
The thing, like, I actually met this guy on Saturday, for example. I was just traveling the train. I was just, and the train was like late, and I asked, like, does anybody know, or some guy, do you know when the train is supposed to come? And he was like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Czech. I was like, okay, I just switch automatically to English. And he was like, oh, cool, you speak English. And we just chatted because he was going to the same place where I was. Turns out he's a game developer.
Okay.
Well, coincidence. Life. Small world. And we chatted and chatted. And we got onto the subject of piracy. I was like, so do you put anti-piracy software in your games? I was like, hell no. Like, I literally give like codes to people who are obviously not gonna promote my game like on YouTube. He literally said, like, I remember like getting 5 emails from obviously the same guy because all the emails were exactly the same. I still give him a code. Just because, maybe he shows the game to his friends. Maybe they look up the game and buy it. And then they show their games to their friend, etc., etc., just a spiral. And that's good marketing. And he had a game that sold like 500,000 copies. That's really good for an indie game. What was the game? It was called it was a Steam game called Wheels. So it was a racing game. I remember, so I need to write him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of and since we're on the topic of DRM, you know the YouTube channel No Clip, right? The people that do all these game documentaries on certain game developers. Well, last week I actually watched. They did a documentary on GOG.
Okay, I didn't watch it yet.
I highly recommend you give that a watch, because if you watch that, you actually have a more appreciation for GOG.com and what.
GOG is the best way to get your games if they're there.
Yes, if they're there, and also I'd like to mention, going back to my No Man's Sky thing as well, if you don't go on Steam, but you go on GOG, wait a little bit to get if you want multiplayer No Man's Sky, wait a little bit, because they'll be bringing that to like later this year on the GOG versions of the game. So.
Oh yeah, they said. I've read it something like they want to put it into their GOG Galaxy thing.
Yeah. But you're gonna put that out there as well. But yeah, if you watch that, you have a better appreciation of the work that they put in to get these games out there DRM free on GOG.com. So.
Okay, moving on to the next topic. We got another lawsuit. This time, actually, on Quantic Dream, the creators of, for example, Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human
Yep.
have lost a lawsuit against one of their former employees. So this is actually a pretty interesting story, and essentially it started a few months ago where the employee left the studio because of the toxic environment in the studio. And for once, I think I actually agree with him that this was a toxic environment, as there have been, for example, montages of employees being photoshopped onto Nazis or porn stars. And these just circulated around the studio. That's not a thing you do.
Heck no.
So this employee left, and the company, which should be mentioned, is French. And France has really, really intense employee protection laws. And this time specifically, we're talking about a law that's known as prise d'acte. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I had some French. But it's essentially a law that says an employee can leave a company and then go to an independent labor law court and ask them to rule that him leaving the company, even though he did it voluntarily, and that would in most cases leave you without any like benefits or the ability to ask for a settlement.
Yeah.
But in specific cases, when you leave the company for very good reasons, you can essentially ask them to say that this was exactly as if you were unlawfully terminated by the company. And the employee actually won this case. At the moment, Quantic Dream does have the option to appeal, but we still do not know if that will happen or not. So yeah, this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think of this story, man?
Well, I'll say, Quantic Dreams, I love their games, but they got what's coming to them if they do kind of crap like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, doing that kind of stuff in the workplace.
Yeah. It's bad, to say the least.
Yeah.
So, the working standards in the gaming industry have been actually brought up quite a lot this year. Not necessarily to toxic environments like this, because this is just ridiculous if it actually did happen. More in the case of talking about working times and turnover rates. Just, overworking your staff and replacing them all the freaking time. And that's a thing we all know happens in the gaming industry.
Yes.
There has been one solution pointed out, but it's a highly controversial solution. Unionization. Making a game employee union. Do you think that would be a good solution?
Well, in a way, yeah. If that's the only solution that people can come up with right now, and if that'll help, give better produce better work environments, I'll say go for it. Because I mean, yeah, the amount of hours that developers put into their games is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also, of course, it's tough on them, but also you got to commend them for hanging in there, especially for developers that are actually passionate about what they're developing. So
for me, it's like a hard thing to sell to me, unions, because here in the Czech
Yeah.
Republic, unions do actually they're like considered the third political force. You have, the parliament, which would be equivalent to your, what's it called in America?
The Senate, House
No,
of Representatives.
yeah, House of Representatives. That would be our parliament, and then we have the Senate. That's like one and two, and then there's unions. They have so much power in Czech Republic. Like, it's, by the way, it's not even close to France. France, they literally like they have like a strike every few days. There's like a strike in France like probably every day of the year, to be honest. They're really used to just getting their shit done by striking. That's not the case here that much, but still, it's like I'm somewhat afraid of unions. They can be a force for the good, but if they go wrong, it can be insanely damaging.
Oh yeah.
So that makes me slightly scared of them, to be honest.
Yeah. But and I'll say for the time being, like I said, if people can't come up with a better solution for this, I would say for the time being, unionization. But other than that, if anyone can come up with a better solution,
I wish I could, man. I wish I could.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. This one will be a bit quicker. The retro gaming console Commodore 64 Mini will be launching in the United States in October, more specifically on the October 9th. The console is actually already available in Europe. I myself haven't bought it. It's not a thing of my childhood, so it's not like nostalgia thing to me.
Oh yeah.
But I have read a few reviews of it, and they haven't been that great, to be honest. For example, The Guardian said most of the games are like, they're novelty things. None of them will really like keep you entertained for a long time. Engadget said the joystick was really crappy, that sort of thing. And we don't have an official price for the US, but it's expected to be around $80. So what do you think of this? Will you get one?
No. This was before my time, and yeah, but of course, this is even though it's not one of the big name consoles back in the '80s, it's still a piece of gaming history. So I bet people that are interested in this or curious about it, I bet they'll pick it up, just to have it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, moving on to a bigger, more important topic. Though this is just rumors, let's talk about Microsoft's upcoming consoles. So we do know that they are codenamed Scarlet, but now we also probably know that there is not just one Project Scarlet. It seems that there are two Project Scarlets. One of them is just your plain old Project Scarlet, which should be your next-gen console, whatever you expect from that. The second one is called Scarlet Cloud. And if you have any idea what cloud means in the gaming industry, you know that this will be a cloud-based streaming console using the upcoming game streaming service that Microsoft is planning to have. So, I literally talked about this idea a few weeks ago.
Sure did.
We didn't know this existed. Like, am I good?
What's that?
Do you think this is a good idea?
Yes. I believe it is because I mean, back in 2013 when Microsoft announced Xbox One, and they said it'd be an always online console, and you had to be connected to the internet 24/7. You couldn't share your games. I mean,
Everybody was pissed.
Yes, but instead of like next generation going for like just an all streaming console, not everybody, including me. Most people don't have fast internet. Well, even though I have like 100 meg per second, they have like a 13 meg. And to me, that's freaking fast. So, but still though, people like me that don't have fast internet to support a streaming console, having a disc-based console still, I think that's a good thing to have. Like give people choices on what they want in that console.
That's a good point, saying that you have a choice. I think once things like 5G or even 6G internets for mobile carriers starts rolling around, that may be the time where game streaming actually kicks off, because the internet will be fast enough in terms of its bandwidth, but also in its latency. Because the latency is a huge deal here, actually. Sometimes you need only like really slow internet in terms of bandwidth to play, I don't know, CSGO. But if your latency is half a second, you're shit out of luck. And you may have like a super fast internet and still have a half-second latency, and you're still shit out of luck. That's the case for like satellite internet. Satellite internet is awesome if you're just downloading and uploading huge-ass files. But it sucks if you want to be gaming.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how it is over there, but like over here, in my area, or my area, satellite internet sucks. It really sucks.
Well, I don't know. As I'm the lucky one. I live like 500 meters from the, what's it called in English? I don't know what's it called in English. Like the core fiber optics cable for this town.
Dang.
So I have one of the best internets you can get. It's because I live so close to this city's university. That's one of the things that actually makes me scared about moving, because I could lose this internet.
Oh, yeah.
But I will have to move eventually, because I want to move with my girlfriend, but the internet, I want to keep it.
Find a place that will allow you to have just as good internet that you have right now. So
that's the thing; it's not available at many places. Honestly, if I could just like save up enough money and buy an apartment, like a bigger apartment in this building, or rent one even, I would be happy. Well, moving on to the next topic for today, let's talk about our favorite game. Or not, depending on what you like. Fortnite. And the fact that its mobile Android version might be exclusive, or for a while, to the Samsung Galaxy S9. So we do know that the launch of Fortnite Android will be coming soon. We know that for a fact. And we do know that it will be making a shit ton of money for Epic once it comes. But apparently, it will actually be, for a month, exclusive to the Samsung Galaxy S9. And I hear so many people saying, this is a bad idea by Samsung. This is the greatest ad Samsung could have asked for in like 20 years. The thing is, you know, you have your whales, both in the cryptocurrency world, as we are all very well aware of, but also in your gaming world. And their whales are people who just spend insane amounts of money on their games. So let's say they will be spending $500 to $1,000 a month on cosmetics in Fortnite. And there are people like that. I've read an estimate that it's about 1% of gamers who are whales in games. But let's be slightly more conservative. Let's say it's 0.5%. So we do know that about 100 million people play Fortnite. 0.5% of people who play Fortnite is still 500,000 people. And these people, they're used to spending money on outfits in games. Give them an option to be the first people to play Fortnite on Android. And actually get a phone while spending the same amount of money. They're gonna do it. That's 500,000 Samsung Galaxy S9s sold straight away. I'm telling you, this thing will sell at least 500,000 Samsung Galaxy S9s on its own. And it will make Fortnite a shit ton of money once it rolls out on Android as well, fully. Do you think this is a bad idea by Samsung?
No, I think having a exclusivity deal, I think that's a good idea on their part and on Epic's part, because I mean, it entices people to go and buy an Galaxy S9 just to play Fortnite if they absolutely wanted to.
I do understand the people who are angry about the fact that it's going to be exclusive to the S9. I understand those. But the people who are saying it's stupid by Samsung, you're wrong. This probably cost them less than a Super Bowl ad they did.
Most definitely.
And not only it will bring, like, you know, sell Samsung Galaxy S9s, but it will also get the Samsung brand out. Just people realizing, oh, it's on Samsung. Maybe I want to buy a Samsung. Our brains are really dumb. Let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
So,
Me personally, though, I have a S7, and Fortnite coming to S9 does not really entice me to buy a new phone. I'm so good. I'm still good with this one. So.
Well, but you're also not a whale when it comes to games. You don't spend hundreds of dollars on cosmetics.
No.
Also, I was watching the WAN show from Linus Tech Tips this week, and they were talking about some guy who actually like defrauded like $4 million out of his company or of the company he was working for. And out of those $4 million, he spent like $1 million in a game. Isn't that hilarious?
It's both hilarious and, to me, it's like I'm thinking, that's a waste of money.
Yeah, it is, but it's a hilarious one at the very least.
Yeah.
People are weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. Okay, and let's move on to the last piece of news first way. And we're getting slightly into the tabloid kind of news this week. As a professional Call of Duty player, Douglas Martin, known as FaZe Sensor, broke up with a girl who is known as the world's sexiest weather girl. I actually have a picture of them here prepared for you guys so you can see how they look. And you know what? I would never, ever, ever have expected to report on something like this just a few short years ago.
Yeah, right.
It's just...
Oh.
Who would have thought of this? And you know what? I will say this. Both she and him are very pretty. Obviously. I will say this. She's not my type. So, for me, she's like, yeah, I've seen prettier girls. But he is actually very pretty. He is very muscular. He has a classical built face. So I can understand like him dumping her because he can do better. But the reason why he dumped her is the most amazing part of this.
Yeah.
He dumped her because he wants to play more Call of Duty.
You do you.
But there is a way to put this that makes more sense. If you want to like tell people about this without them being like, what the fuck? Tell them this. He dumped her because he wanted to focus on his career.
Yeah.
That's the way to put it, to not have it sound like a completely absurd thing.
Yeah.
But it is a completely absurd thing. Who would have ever thought that we're going to be talking about stuff like this?
Yeah, really. Oh man. But me personally though, even though this is freaking hilarious, I could care less.
You know what? I agree with you. I could care less. The thing is, I think it shows that gamer culture is no longer the fringe. If we can get onto the tabloids, we reached a point where we are no longer the quote-unquote laughing stock of the world. We have to be taken seriously. And no longer we are on tabloids just like, a gamer killed 5 people in a murderous rage. No, now we get into the a Call of Duty player dumbs the world's sexiest weather girl. I think that's a good switch. But moving on, that was the last piece of news. Let's move on to the last section of today's show. Let's talk gaming recommendations for next week. So, is there something you would like to recommend for next week?
Yes. I talked about this game last year, and I bring it up again because it's coming to PC Wednesday. Yakuza 0 coming to Steam. If you pre-order it right now, it's only $18, but if you don't pre-order it, it'll cost $20. So, but I know for the PC crowd, y'all have not had a chance to play a Yakuza game, and what better way to start than with the prequel to the entire series?
You know, I'm hoping they release the rest as well.
Oh yeah. Me personally, I've actually held off on finishing Yakuza 6 because they're releasing the remake of 2 later this month, PS4, and then they're releasing a 3, 4, and 5 over the next few months. So I'm trying to hold off so I can actually get the entire story of all 7 games together.
Okay.
But yeah, for like $20 with hours upon hours of content, and this game is also freaking weird as well. It's like those types of games for $20 or $18 if you pre-order it right now. That's a good deal. That's a real good deal.
I agree, and for once, I think this is a game that if you are remotely interested in, and you just know you're going to buy it, this is a game that is worth pre-purchasing. Yes. Just because we already know that it is a good game.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason why I'm recommending talking about this game again is even though the game is starting to get traction over here in the West,
Mm-hmm.
it's still a pretty niche type of series. So go and show your support for the series.
Yeah. And it's coming out on August 1st, approximately, as Steam tells me, in 1 day and 19 hours.
Yes.
Okay, a game I would like to recommend for next week is called Chasm.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And this should be a procedurally generated adventure platformer, which means it's going to be a combination of Metroidvania, Rogue, all the good stuff. It looks really interesting. It looks to have this sort of pixel art graphics, which everybody knows I personally love. I like procedural generation because it gives you immense replayability. And all in all, it just looks good. And I'm hoping it will be good. It's coming out tomorrow or today, depending on where you are, in about 10 hours. I will be definitely taking a look at this and maybe even making a review. I'm not sure yet. And it's actually available on Steam, PlayStation 4, and on the Vita for some reason.
Rest in peace, the Vita.
That seems like a really weird place to release this for.
Me personally, I'm just glad that Sun Developers is still showing their support for the Vita.
Yeah. Okay, anything else you would like to recommend?
The next game the last game I would like to recommend is this game called Code Princess EX, which is coming to the Switch tomorrow. It's much like a RPG beat 'em up. So, looks pretty interesting.
So it's essentially like just a fighter game, but with a story?
Yeah.
Okay.
And RPG elements.
Yeah, like...
It costs around $40, so...
That's actually pretty pricey for my taste.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on the Switch, so that's sort of to be expected, I guess. Okay, and I have one more game I would like to recommend, and this is a free game called Fuel Renegades. And this game is just your average racer, your average arcade racer, obviously heavily inspired by games like Wipeout. So it's just these little hovercrafts driving on sci-fi stuff. Really, really fast. That's all there is to this game. The interesting thing here is it's completely free. At least that's what it says here in the description. It says, real free, no DLC, no loot boxes, just fun. And that's something we don't get to see anymore very often.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and that's it for the games I have to recommend. Do you have anything you would like to recommend else?
No, I sure don't.
Then I guess it's time to slowly end the show. Let's do quick shilling. You can find me at Kralizec Gaming on YouTube to watch my reviews, or you can watch them on Steam at Kralizec.
And you can find me on YouTube as Tygergamer and on Steam at Tygergamer.
And with that being said, we both hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube, subscribing to the channel. If you're watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Gaming New Series returns. See you guys later with more gaming content.
You have a good one.